Cam is chunky, 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 cam is chunky. Chunky cam is. Cam is chunky, 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 cam is chunky. Chunky cam is. Cam is chunky, 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 cam is chunky. Chunky cam is. Cam is chunky, 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 cam is chunky.